All right, guys. Today we are doing vocabulary that we're going to need to know for the next section of Code Talkers. So I can't send you the surveys on these vocabulary words, but I'll take you through how to do them and we'll talk about what they mean. Okay, so our first word is right here. It's reverberated. Reverberated. And I want you to think about whether you have not seen this word before, whether you've seen it or heard it, but you don't know what it means, whether you think you know what it means, or whether you absolutely know what it means and you can use it. All right, so have you heard the word reverberated before? Okay, so here is what reverberated means. It comes from, it's had an effect that continued for a long while. And there's really two different ways to sort of think about this word. The most common way it's used is to talk about sound. So in band or in choir, you might hear about, the voices reverberating through the auditorium, or you might hear about a drum beat reverberating. It's sort of like an echo, all right? But when we're talking about something that isn't a sound, something that's like a feeling, it can still reverberate, but it just means that it lasts a long time sort of in your heart, or something that it makes you think about it for a long time. It sticks with you for a long time. So in this case, his mother's good advice reverberated throughout Aaron's life. It means that his mother's advice lasted a long time in his mind and in his heart, and that it was important to him. So, like sound, when sound echoes, like that drum, when sound echoes, the sound lasts for a long time. All right. You might hear the sound 2 or 3 times before it goes away. Same thing with emotions. If it's a strong emotion or a strong feeling, you might feel it for a long time, even after the first time you feel it. So from the book, our character is talking about when he heard the man from the military speaking to the high school students about joining after Pearl Harbor happened. And he says, when he came to our high school and spoke to the student body, his words reverberated in my mind like drum beats. All right, so think about that sentence. Imagine that you are listening to something important and the words or the feeling sticks with you for a long time. What might that feel like in your mind and in your heart? All right. So in this case, he's saying that the words are very important and it lasted a long time with him. That is reverberated. Okay. So I know you can see the green check mark on this survey, but think about this question based on what you know about the word. If someone said something reverberated, did it A, mean the opposite of what you expected to? B, had it an effect for a long while? Or C, made you feel very shaky, worried, and confused? All right. So because they're talking about a strong emotion, you might think that it maybe would be C because, if it's strong, maybe you are worried and confused. However, thinking about that echo, thinking about how something sticks with you, it does mean that the thing had, if it reverberated, it had an effect for a long time. All right? Next, we have the word dismissive. Right? Again, take a few seconds, think about whether or not you've heard the word dismissive before. Okay, maybe you're looking at this word and you see that it has the piece dismiss in it, right? Dismiss, and maybe you've heard that. Okay, but dismissive most often talks about one person rejecting or not caring about another person or their ideas. All right, so I'm going to go back to that original screen. The definition shown is in a way that shows rejection or a lack of interest. All right, so if somebody is dismissive of your interest in video games, it means they don't care about video games. It means they reject or kind of put aside your interest. Okay. So moving on to the example sentences. The manager's dismissive attitude show that she didn't care to help the customer. And you can see in the photo that this must be the manager, and she's holding up her hand and giving a look that says, like, I don't care to help you. I'm not interested in helping you. All right. So she's being dismissive. All right. In the book, the author says in boot camp, a good many of those average men who hope to become Marines can't stand up to the physical challenges. All right. And the commander or whoever is saying this. He swung his hand out to one side in a dismissive gesture. They wash out. So whoever's talking in this quote is saying, these guys who can't do push-ups, these guys who can't run 5 miles, I don't care about them. We're not worried about them. They'll be gone. Who cares? Right? That's being dismissive. Right? And I do have some other sample sentences. So again, she waved her hand with a dismissive gesture. So sometimes you don't even have to say anything to be dismissive. You can just sort of, wave your hand and say, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. Right? Next sentence, same thing. Lydia simply gave a dismissive wave of her hand and went inside, leaving Dean to follow. All right. Protective anger stirred at his dismissive tone. All right. So somebody's being dismissive. Somebody's saying, I don't care. And the other person gets angry. All right. So if you are dismissive of something, it means you're not interested. You don't care. Right. So maybe some people are dismissive of their homework. It happens. Okay. So again, just with the knowledge check, which person in these examples is acting in a dismissive way? Which person is acting like they don't care? A child who cries and cries because of a lost pet. Okay, does that child care about their pet? A student who runs out of the room when the bell rings. Right, does that person, is that person just caring or not caring? Or a girl who rolls her eyes when a boy asks her out. Right? And the answer says C. All right, because the boy is interested in her, but by rolling her eyes, she's saying, I don't care. All right. Now, in answer B, you might be thinking, well, what about like a teacher dismissing the class? Is that the same thing? Not exactly. All right. Dismiss in that sense is to, set free or to let go or to, release from responsibility, but it's not the same thing. You just have to read the sentence and how the word is being used. And in this case, it's not caring about something. All right. And our last word is hilarious. Hilarious. Again, think about this for a few seconds. Have you seen it before? Do you know what this word means? Then as we move on, hilarious is pretty easy. I think if we were in class, some of you would say that you have heard it before, because it just means that something is very, very funny. All right. You know, if something is funny, you can laugh at it, but if something is hilarious, it's very funny. So, with this picture, Terrence couldn't stop laughing at the comedian's hilarious jokes, right? So these two boys, they're laughing very hard. And from the book, the narrator or the author says, however, some of the priests thought they could speak Navajo and would try to include it in their sermons. So I'm guessing that they're in the army and they go to church, and these priests know that there are Navajo people, so they try to speak it. But as a result, they sometimes said things that were hilarious without meaning to, right? So maybe it's kind of like if you hear someone trying to speak Chinese and they don't say the tone in the correct way and they accidentally say a wrong word, maybe it turns out to be funny. All right, and that's what he's saying here with these guys trying to speak Navajo. Okay. So this question is very easy. If something's hilarious, what is it like? It's very funny. It's in two parts. It's difficult to understand. All right, and we know that hilarious is very funny. Okay. We're not going to do that section of things. Okay, but maybe I will just take a look here at these other example sentences for hilarious. The first one says, baby shower trivia games can turn your next baby shower into a hilarious party. So by playing a game, your party can be very funny and entertaining. All right. Next one's similar. This sentence is probably talking about, going on the internet trying to find funny things. And however, the following links will take you straight to some hilarious cat clips without spending hours sifting through millions of sites. Right? So, hilarious is probably our easiest one of this round. It just means very, very funny. Okay. So, look up these words: reverberated, dismissive, and hilarious. Find any resources you need in order to better understand these words. Watch this video over again. Go into iLit and see if there's anything there you can work with. And then on Google Classroom, along with this video, there is that short quiz assignment about these vocabulary words. And then tomorrow we are going to continue reading Code Talkers. Thank you for your time.